Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Money Matters Top Tips for Success, where each and every day I bring on new business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives and have them share their top tips for success with you. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, moneymatterstips.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Chen on the line, and he's chairman and co-founder over at Gold House. Bing, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Adam.
So I'm excited to get more into Gold House and any kind of projects you're working on there. But before we do that, let's get a little bit further into your background. So how did you get started in your career and in business?
I think most things have to begin with the mission. My mission since I was a child was to figure out how to make everyone else's dreams come true faster, more deeply. I realize it sounds like something a hippie would say, but I don't know, for whatever reason, I've just always been drawn to that. And so, when you're a 3-year-old, the person that makes dreams come true more than anyone else is, of course, Walt Disney. So at a practical level, I would often tell people, I want to go be the next Walt Disney. I want to enable platform services and creative stories that both cross-pollinate, but also help people better self-actualize. And so by no coincidence, I interned at the Walt Disney Company twice. I then went on to a really rich career over at Google, where I built most of the creator services worldwide at YouTube, which I saw as my own Disney. And today in my day job, as well as in my nonprofit work in Gold House, I see these as platforms that enable anyone to realize their full potential and dreams faster.
Man, what an amazing story. I love it. You're taking the Walt Disney model to YouTube, to your day-to-day work, and now also with Gold House. That's amazing. And I think it's a great transition. Let's get further into your nonprofit, Gold House. So first, tell us a little bit more about it, please.
Yeah, Gold House is the largest collective of top Asian cultural leaders in the country. We're dedicated to two things. Number one is fortifying stronger relationships among the Asian diaspora. As you know, we are 4.5 billion people. We actually are the largest minority majority in the world, but we're incredibly disparate. So fortifying those relationships and ensuring that we're helping each other, kind to each other, productive with each other is number one. Second, though, is we never want to build just for ourselves. The point of enriching these relationships is so that we can unlock their resources, whether it's capital, promotion, in-kind, and so forth, to enable everyone to realize their own ambition. So we fortified really meaningful relationships with the African diaspora, soon-to-be Latinx community, the LGBTQIA community, women's groups, and so forth.
What's your vision for the organization overall? So, let's just say you have the you could just have that magic wish. What would be your vision overall for Gold House?
Yeah, the vision is to become obsolete and invisible, to be honest. I want a day where anyone who's
That's
Asian...
why I asked that question. I had a feeling that was the vision. Because it's a big vision. I got that from you immediately. That's why I asked you. So
What's the goal, right?
It's the prophecy, right? That's what you'd want it to do, is disappear.
That's right. There's dust to dust, and things have to proceed and supersede as always, right? And I think that the goal is, anyone who's Asian, not because they're Asian for a racism purpose, but anyone who finds commonality in another, and in this case, the lens of commonality is Asianness, or sort of, an ethnicity or race, and that we're just kind and productive and helpful to each other. No different from what, the Israeli diaspora, the African diaspora, and so many other, really rich, successful communities have done for centuries. So that's the goal. The second goal is I want us to be able to erect certain systemic solutions to proverbial problems for all of our species that help everyone. So I'll give you a specific example. A third of the population is the baby boomers that are about to pass away in the next decade, right? This is not a sad omen. This is just inevitable. It's just mass immortality, right? And this is very trying for us because, number one, not only are we not transactionally prepared for death, in many countries it's actually too expensive to die, so people leave their loved ones on the streets. But secondly, this is really emotionally trying. My mother is a baby boomer. I don't want to see my mother die. I don't know anyone who wants to see their mother die, right? And by no coincidence, Asians actually are one of the two most multi-generational households. So many of us actually live with our grandparents and our elder parents, and we're taking care of them right now. So I see this sort of biological propensity as a responsibility for us to show other communities how not only you can caretake for your elders, but also how we can ease into this next phase of death for everyone. So I realize it's a little bit of an extreme example, but I want to find those sort of proverbial and perpetual issues that face all of our species and how our community is disproportionately affected and therefore has a disproportionate responsibility and advantage in helping us find solutions.
How do people get involved with Gold House?
Yeah, there's so many ways. So number one, if you're an Asian, you can just go to goldhouse.org and or follow us on all social media, Goldhouse Co. And there's an abundance of ways to get involved. So number one is we host a litany of different events as well as activations that increase representation in media, as well as transactional success for Asian founders. And there's a broader strategy I'm happy to elaborate there. But number one is we know the reason representation matters is we know you can't be what you can't see. And so we've invested in a lot of new representation efforts, whether it's theater buyouts or investing in new films that people can get involved with. So that's number one. The second is we also know that you can't just invest in representation images because there needs to be a transactional business or system that sustains it. That's why we started investing in Asian-founded businesses, whether they're in media, whether they're in food and beverage, whether they're in fashion, beauty, and so forth. And so you can also get involved there, whether as, a supplier if you're an Asian founder, or as a patron if you just, love Asian-owned businesses or just want great products. So those are two of the many, many different ways that you can get involved.
That's awesome. And so any kind of projects or what's coming down the pipeline for 2020?
Yeah, so my few priorities for Goldhouse are the following. Number one is we've really been an organically grown collective with 300 of the top Asian leaders in the country. We're now at the phase where we're formalizing membership. So we're rolling out this really exciting experience-based subscription that's coming out very soon. Second is we're emboldening all of our ventures. So as mentioned, our ventures do two things. Number one is they fortify stronger relationships. And so you're going to see us expand relationships from professionals at the sort of leadership level to families. Which is really important for the reason I alluded to earlier with our elders. Second is you're going to see us embolden what we call our transactional vehicles. So our vehicles enable better representation through theater buyouts and movements, as well as film investments, our investments in Asian founders and so forth. You're going to see us expand all of those efforts dramatically. And then finally is you're going to also see us expand to other communities formally. So I already mentioned earlier, we've had the great privilege of supporting the African diaspora through film. You're going to see that relationship expand, as well as our relationship with the Latino community. And again, the sensibility is very simple. I think only supporting your own is nepotistic and weird and sort of pseudo-racist. That is not why we built Goldhouse. We built Goldhouse because we know that large, mass-scale mainstream change has to begin niche. Our niche, in this case, just happens to be race-based, right? And we want to make sure that we can leverage those resources and benefit everyone with them.
Man, that's awesome. And I could talk to you about this all day. I love it. I love what I'm doing. I love the collective. I love the approach. I love, and most important is that you're not, so sometimes I find with nonprofits, that business side of things, you have these big visions, these things you want to do, but let's face it, there has to be money. There has to also be a business side behind it. There has to be a reason other than doing good, which that could be a reason itself. So I'm not trying to glance over that, but we don't wake up and we don't all wake up every day and go to work because we just want to do good. We also want to eat, right? So that being said, the model that you've designed is something that has the ability to really grow. So I love that. And that's one of those things that you can really see long term, continuing to keep to gain on its mission. So that's awesome, Bing. So that being said, if somebody's listening to this and you gave multiple ways to get involved, what's the best way for somebody to reach out, to connect, and to follow?
Yeah, the easiest way is to go to goldhouse.org, which is our website, or follow us on all social media outlets, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and so forth, at Goldhouse Co. That's Co for collective. You'll be able to see a litany of our ventures. It's much more organized. You'll see what our strategy is. And then, depending on your affinity, whether it's Goldhouse or large, or maybe just, film representation, you can get involved in different ways.
Perfect. Well, hey, Bing, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and all the great work that you're doing over at Goldhouse. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store, share this with your friends, your family, your coworkers. I do all those great things that we do to support our podcasters. It really does mean a lot to me and my team. And Bing, again, thank you again for coming on the show.
Thank you so much again for having me, Adam.